presentation of Fox Sports.
We are sports. We are Sun.
Friday night in St. Petersburg, and the Rays welcome their AL East rivals from Baltimore to Tropicana Field for the first time this season. Two teams going in opposite directions. The Rays have lost just one series in their last 12. Baltimore 2-16 on the road in their last 18 games away from Camden Yards. We are not in the left field perch at Tropicana Field because it's a very special day here on Rays baseball. It is demo day for the first time in 2017. I'm Rich Hollenberg along with Orestes Destrada and Doug Wechter. Dwayne Stats will be along just a moment from now. But demo day lasts all game long, so you two will be interspersed throughout the game, helping grown-ups and little leaguers alike get better and understand more about the sport of baseball than they ever have before. And when we talk about demos, you pick a hitter. Corey Dickerson's got to be where you start with. Maybe the numbers saying he's the best hitter in the American League right now.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that he's been the most productive hitter. He's been the most frustrating hitter for pitchers to really get out. Look at what he's done this year as far as how and where he hits the ball. You pitch him away, and he'll line you to left field. He'll line you to right field. He'll line you to center field. And then every now and then, he'll bop you out of the ballpark, too. Let's not forget that 16 home run. Look at the power. We haven't forgotten the power. In fact, he's on pace to hit way more home runs than last year, but at a better hitting pace. And one of the reasons that he's done that is that he's frustrated all the pitchers right now by being able to hit early in the count with that beautiful sweeping swing. He's got a great sweeper of a swing. But then the average really has come more with the two-strike approach, where he spreads out, doesn't try to do too much. He really literally lifts his heel up, puts it back down, and then the sweep swing covers every part of the plate. It is outstanding. Hard to teach. He's not the most fundamental guy that you're going to see, but he's outstanding. And I tell you what, maybe it's a hard slider that'll get him eventually.
Hey, if you want to talk about hard slider, let's talk about Chris Archer. Chris Archer has one of the hardest sliders in the big leagues. He's also got 122 strikeouts. That's second in the AL, just below Chris Sale. Or third in the AL, I'm sorry, just below Chris Sale. The reason for that fastball command, he's commanding a fastball 95 to 98 miles an hour, and then also a slider, hard slider right behind that. Now look at that delivery. One thing I want to point out about Chris Archer's delivery, his leg lift, not a leg kick, it's a leg lift. When you watch Chris Archer today, one of the reasons that he's able to continuously throw strikes is because he doesn't kick his leg straight out or tuck it in. He lifts with the hip straight up. And by doing that, he stays in a very athletic, balanced situation, and he's able to drive through home plate and repeat his delivery. That's how you get a 97-mile-an-hour fastball by some of these major league hitters, Richie.
Well, one of the things for sure on demo day, Doug Wechter's shoe game is on point. We saw that. Still to come on the other side of this break, it's going to be Dwayne Stats with the call. And throughout the game, you're going to get insider access like Doug Wechter talking about fundamentals for the little leaguers. How about Steven Souza? What makes his setup so important to his swing? And Tom Foley, the bench coach, also the Minister of Defense, gives us a chat on footwork to make you a Gold Glover. It's all coming up on Demo Day, the Rays and the Orioles from Tropicana Field.
baseball on Fox Sports Sun is brought to you by your local Ford dealer, by Frontier Communications, with Fios TV, Internet, and voice today. By Jeep, get great deals at the Jeep Spring Clearance Event. And by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Rays and the Orioles from Tropicana Field tonight, beginning this 3-game series. Second series on this homestand for the Rays, coming off an interleague victory over Cincinnati. Tonight, it's Baltimore, just moments away. Chris Archer goes to the mound, and boy, is he hopping to get into this game. Bounding over photographer Skip Milos there on his way to the hill, as he'll square off against the Baltimore Orioles. Let's take a look at the Orioles starting lineup tonight. They'll have Seth Smith, the DH, leading off, followed by Manny Machado. Adam Jones in center field. Mark Trumbo will hit cleanup, the right fielder. Jonathan Scope at second, in front of Trey Mancini. Wellington Castillo will do the catching. Young-Soo Kim is in left, hitting eighth, and Ruben Tejada is at shortstop, batting ninth. We are all set to go. The Rays begin the night 2.5 back in the East, running third, 3 games over 500. And the first pitch of this game from Archer is upstairs, a fastball. 1 ball, no strikes. Archer making his 16th start of the year tonight. Shift is on against Smith. pitch is wide, 2-0. 5-4 with a 375 earned run average, just under 100 innings of work so far this year for Archer, with 122 strikeouts and just 31 bases on balls. It's fouled back, 1-2. And he faces a Baltimore ball club against whom he has had some difficulty through the years, just 3-7 against them. And that includes a loss earlier this year in the only series these teams have played. That was in Baltimore back at the end of April. Pretty close, down and away. The count is 3-1. Paul Nart is calling the balls and strikes. There's Buck Showalter in his 8th season as the skipper of the Baltimore ball club. Shot back into center. Smith will go back for it, has the measure of it, and makes the catch. So Seth Smith out to center. Rest of the defensive alignment brought to you by Golden Diamond Source in the outfield. We've already seen Malik Smith in action. Shane Peterson back up from Durham is in left. More on that in a moment. Steven Suji Jr. in right. On the infield, third to first, Longoria, Beckham, Robertson, and Morrison, with Derek Norris doing the catching of Chris Archer in this game. There's Peterson back with the race. Colby Rasmus with that the left hip tendonitis has gone to the disabled list. Cut and a miss by Machado, strike one. Machado hitting .228. 15 home runs for the young third baseman. Fouls the fastball right back, 0-2. That opening fastball from Archer, 91-92, and that one, his 7th pitch of the game, up at 96. Adam Jones on deck. Well, if he gets ahead of you, good luck. A little tapper foul. And he's ahead of Machado right now. Machado made contact with that fastball. Archer so often uses the slider when he gets to 2 strikes, and if you see anything else, you're just trying to stay alive, as Machado did just tap that ball foul, making contact. And he went around that time, got the slider, and is out on strikes, trying to check his swing. And here's a look from the side. He did indeed go around, and Paul Nart, the plate umpire, needed no help in making that determination. 2 up, 2 down, and now it's Adam Jones. Jones at 269. Fouls it back. Archer starting him with the healthy fastball. Last time Archer faced this club was at Camden Yards. Gave up 3 home runs. In fact, those 3 home runs came in the span of 5 hitters he faced in the 6th and 7th innings. And the Orioles won that game 6-3. Jones, one of the home runs he gave up, and boy, that was a no-doubter. Him and Scope had gone back-to-back, and then Jones hit that one out. High popper right side. That'll be foul. Morrison's after it. front of the dugout, making the catch. And it's a 1-2-3 first for Chris Archer. Rays coming in to hit. No score. No score. Opening game of this 3-game series. And the Rays lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers breaks out this way. Malik Smith leads it off, followed by the DH Corey Dickerson and then Evan Longoria. Logan Morrison will hit clean up at first. Then Steven Souza Jr. and Shane Peterson hits 6th. Tim Beckham 7th. Daniel Robertson 8th. And Derek Norris in the 9th spot behind the plate. And on the hill, Ubaldo Jimenez, the 33-year-old right-hander, most of his action out of the rotation. 9 starts. This is 10th. And that goes with 5 relief appearances. Well, here's Malik Smith. He takes the first pitch down. Jimenez not necessarily overpowering that fastball. Both a 2-seamer and a 4-seamer. 90, 91 in that neighborhood. Foul ball. And it's 1-1. So a record of 2-2 for the Baltimore right-hander. Machado in at third. There's the bunt attempt on the first base side and foul. 1-2, and that has been, continues to be, and will be a big part of Alex Smith's game. There's Machado at third base now with 2 strikes. He can back up a little bit. .352 on the year for Alex Smith since coming to the Rays. Instilled in his own way some energy to this ball club right now, working on a 12-game hitting streak, which turns out to be the longest hitting streak by any Ray this year. So he has made his presence felt. And he works a full count. 30 walks in just over 63 innings for Jimenez, and that from time to time can be an issue for him. It's a little higher rate than he would like. And he just walked Malik Smith, who's aboard. Defense tonight for Baltimore, brought to you by the Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield, left to right, Kim, Jones, and Trumbo. Manny Machado, we've seen him at third. Tejada's at short. Scope at second base. Mancini at first, with Wellington Castillo behind the plate. And now Corey Dickerson, the third leading hitter in the American League, at .326, and leading the league in hits with 94. Smith draws the throw to first. 9 steals in 13 attempts by the opposition against Jimenez. He has 1 pickoff. And again over there, back easily, Smith. Dickerson, as we have come to realize, can hit the ball all over the place. And they have Machado way off third base, giving you some indication that you're not going to see Jimenez, at least on purpose, work that pitch away. And that one upstairs, fastball well out of the zone. Dickerson has been aggressive all year. Smith inching away, putting the lead a little bit at first. And another pitch off the plate, this one inside. 2-0, and Castillo's going to head to the mound to talk with Jimenez already, who has walked Smith. Well, this demo night here at the ballpark, and that means that we'll have Orestes and Doug with us. Let's check in with them right now.
Hey, how you doing? Listen, I tell you what, we're excited to be a part of demo day, and I'm also excited to see this guy get going stealing. Watch him move his feet, Dwayne. He just keeps on. He's always in perpetual motion there with his feet. It's kind of a little different than your typical base stealer who sets out there and then pushes off. I noticed that also, Dwayne, with Hamilton from the Reds, and maybe they spoke.
Well, it's worked for Hamilton, and it's to this point worked for Mallex Smith, although blinding speed doesn't hurt either with those guys. But you can have great speed without technique.
Dwayne, you're right. In the end, it's about the speed.
There he goes. Pitch is high for ball 4. Smith was off and running, but Dickerson walks, and the Rays have men at first and second and nobody out. Well, he had a good jump, but the walk moves Smith up to second base.
Check out the feet right here as he goes. It's a good situation, I think, to show the young kids, because you know what? If you're moving, and as long as they're short steps, not big steps, if you lift your legs too much, then you get caught in between and you get picked off. But if they're tiny little steps, tiny little steps, tiny little steps, and then you go, your momentum is going towards second base. I think it's a smart thing, and the best guy doing it right now, it's Billy Hamilton with over 200 steals.
First pitch is wide to Evan Longoria, 1-0. So Jimenez having a little difficulty finding the strike zone. He's made 12 pitches, and 8 of those have been out of the zone. It's a strike, 1-1. Two walk to Smith, a walk on 4 pitches to Dickerson. And a turn back to second. Stoke taking the throw. Smith back in. Jimenez paying a lot of attention to the speed of Mallex Smith, and at the same time having a difficult time finding the strike zone. And there's a pitch that gets away from Castillo, and over to third goes Smith. Dickerson up to second. Well, the Orioles continue to have issues, and the Rays with a major threat right here in the first inning. And this appears to be a fastball, and there could have been a cross-up right there. You could see Castillo going one way and the ball going the other way. So they'll get together and talk about that. In the meantime, Castillo's charged with a pass ball. Tough to do anything with it if you're crossed up. It's foul back, big cut. 2-2. Evan with 18 career at bats against Jimenez, 4 hits, including a home run, and he's up here now with a chance to put the Rays out in front. And he'll loop that one into center field, dropping for a base hit. Smith scores. Here comes Dickerson, and the Rays take a 2-0 lead. He dropped it in front of the center fielder Jones, who had no chance on that one. RBIs 39 and 40, and the Rays take the lead. Nice job by Longoria on a pitch that came spinning up there. Now Logan Morrison will hit. Orioles come into this game 35 and 37. This pitch is low to Logan. Lost their last 2, and the recent weeks have not been good to Buck Showalter's club. Pitch is away. To strike. Well, the Toyota inside look. This is the root of the issue for the Orioles. Consecutive games allowing 5 or more runs. 19. They're chasing the 1924 Philadelphia Phillies. 19 consecutive games giving up 5 or more runs. This pitch foul back, little slider. It's 2-2. Might have been the split right there. And for the Orioles, they've had a number of issues, but pitching. Number one, they have some injuries that have not helped, but their pitching has been the issue. They're last in the American League in earned runs, earned run average. Fouled, fastball up, maybe out of the zone. They don't strike out a lot of people, and they walk a lot of hitters. This inning opened by back-to-back bases on balls to Smith and Dickerson. In fact, they've walked more than any other staff in the league. They've given up the long ball, and they do not, as a staff, pick up a lot of strikeouts. They're 13th in the league in that department. And we have a full count on Logan Morrison. So command has been an issue here for Jimenez to start this game. Longoria, the runner at first. He's driven in 2 runs. Taking advantage of the walk to Smith and the walk to Dickerson and a pass ball. 3-2, and Morrison lines it into right center field. That's going to be in there, chasing it to the wall. Jones plays the carom, Here comes Longoria. He will score. Morrison's going to dig for third, and he is safe at third base. Morrison winds up at third, driving home Longoria. Longoria gets a triple out of that, and here it is. Fastball right out over the plate. They got it by Trumbull, and the ball kicked out to Jones. And his off-balance throw back toward the infield, and the relay will not be in time to get Morrison. Here's Scope making the throw, a one-hopper into Machado, and Morrison got in there under the tag. Morrison had one triple last year and picks up his first triple of the season tonight here. Steven Souza Jr. one hop to short. Tejada keeps it in front of him and throws out Souza Jr. And Morrison remains at third base. The Rays have made it a 3-run start here. And here's Shane Peterson. He's back up with the Rays, with Kobe Rasmus going to the disabled list. Peterson earlier with the Rays hit .263 with a home run in 14 games to begin the year. Swings and misses the split. He had appeared in 14 games for the Rays, 10 of those as a starter. Ground ball right side, fair ball, glove by Mancini. Throw to first, safe there, another run scores. Jimenez trying to get over and not there in time. So Morrison scores to make it a 4-0 ball game. It'll be a hit for Peterson to drive in a run. Close play down there at first with Carlos Torres on the call. Peterson digging, and that's close. Peterson to the very front of the bag. Let's take another look. And we are going to take another look. Buck Showalter will challenge this call. And it would appear the Orioles might have a case. Unless that foot came right down, but it did not. Even if it touched the front of the bag, he still appears to be out. So Peterson is out, but he'll pick up the run batted in. The challenge results in the play being overturned, but a run batted in, and it's 4-0. What a difficult run this has been for the Orioles, and this one has started with more of the same. So the bases are empty with 2 outs for Tim Beckham. The pitch is a strike. Fastball, sliders split, the primary tools utilized by Jimenez. He does have a curveball and a changeup, and very seldom a cutter. 1 ball, 1 strike. Up to 27 pitches here in the first inning. Now 2-1. So 28 pitches, only 13 strikes here in the first. Here's the breakout. Now 3-1, and that one just missed a little bit low. 2. That's the fastball there. Pitch in on him. And he fouled it. So he'll look for this next 3-2 pitch. A lot of baseball to be played between these two teams the rest of the year, counting this one 15 games. And there is ball 4. 3 walks in the inning. 3 walks, a couple hits. Roger McDowell heads to the mound. Difficult start to this game by Romulo Jimenez. Baltimore in for a 3-game series. Jake Faria is going to pitch tomorrow. That's a 4-10 start against Dylan Bundy. Bundy's been the one starter Buck Showalter has had. Rizzi and Tillman in the 3rd game. And here's the 40-game history of the Orioles now, 13-27, and not a lot has gone right. The starter ERA is close to 7, and the bullpen over 5. Daniel Robertson with Beckham at first. So the Rays have now sent 8 men to the plate here in the 1st inning. Pitch is upstairs, 1-0. There's that American League ERA race among the starters, and the Orioles at 5.61. Catches the zone. Something extra off. It appeared to be a slider. One and 2 now. Breakout for Jimenez this year with that 6.25 ERA has been difficult home and road. His home ERA is over 7. It's 5.5 on the road. There goes Beckham. The pitch chopped toward the middle. Scope across his body with the throw. And Robertson is retired. 8 men come to the plate. The Rays score 4. The 2 key hits. Evan Longoria dropping a base hit into center, scoring Smith and Dickerson. And Logan Morrison triples home Longoria. 4-0 Rays. For the Rays, he had a very quick first inning. Just 3 hitters and 12 pitches. And in the second, Mark Trumbo, the right fielder, will lead off. Trumbo, Scope, and then Mancini due up for Baltimore. Archer picking up a strike in the first, or strikeout in the first inning. Machado, first pitch lined into left by Trumbo to the wall. Peterson plays the carom, and Trumbo has a base hit. Right now, let's check in again with Doug Antarustis.
What's up, fellas? Hey, so real quick, something that I'm seeing from Chris Archer right now. His slider is looking great as of that first inning, and what makes his slider so good is the depth to it, and the depth comes from pitch, hand position right here. When Chris Archer releases his slider, his hand position is right on top of the ball, right? And he comes over top of it, and that creates depth to it. If he gets around that pitch at all, we're talking maybe a millimeter. If he gets around that pitch at all, it comes more side to side, and it's a sweeping motion. Those are the ones you see get hit. Now I'm going to demonstrate where you want it. If you're Chris Archer, you're setting up a left-handed hitter for a strikeout. You want to start right here, and you want that one with the depth to drop right here below home plate. The one that are mistakes are the ones that he gets around, slide in, and that's right where you don't want to miss to a left-handed hitter. Now, Dwayne, I will tell you one thing. If I was going to face Orestes Destrada, my first pitch would be somewhere right in this region.
Oh my!
Right there.
Oh my!
Yeah, you just have to establish your territory.
That's
there.
right. You see how close he was to the plate?
That's establishing territory right there. Next time up, I'm way over here, I guess, and I'm just.
Yeah,
he's got me.
But yeah. Dwayne, I have seen the Archer slider today is looking pretty sharp.
Yeah, well, that's a great observation. And bodes well, perhaps, for the evening. There's a pitch down and away. With that in mind, let's take a look at the Machado strikeout.
Yeah, there you see it. So his hand position is perfect. It's on top. You see how tight that spin is. That is almost impossible to pick up if you're a hitter. And that's coming off of 97 miles an hour, Dwayne. So really, that's almost an unhittable pitch.
We're dealing with Jonathan Scope here with a 2-1 count. And Scope's had as much success against Archer as anybody in this lineup, and there's a base hit. Up to second base goes Trumbo. And here's the other interesting thing is Scope singles to right.
First baseman, number 16.
We all know that 1-1 pitch is in many ways and maybe the most important pitch of a count. And to this point, that has certainly been the case with Archer, because if he goes to 1-2, the opposition's hitting 127, and if he goes to 2-1, which he did to Scope, the opposition's hitting 529. So the spread is astounding. And there's a first pitch slider to Mancini, strike one. So Trumbo's at second and Scope is at first. Scope now 7 of 20 against Archer with 3 home runs, and he took that pitch to right field for the base hit. Ground ball toward the middle, and that's going to go through. Trumbo will score. Over to third goes Scope. And so after the big 4-run first by the Rays, the Orioles come back with 3 consecutive hits, and they have scored a run and mount a threat of their own. You see Mancini go down to get that ball a little bit, followed it all the way and went right back through the middle. It's one thing the Orioles have done, as you see right there, is hit with men in scoring position, 300 as a team. Mancini came in hitting 425 with men in scoring position. So that young hitter relishes those situations. Wellington Castillo, 286 hitter for Castillo, and he's up at 393 with men in scoring position. strike, a slider. Down at the bottom of the zone. So the Orioles showing some life after the Rays scored 4. Ground ball, shortstop. Beckham gets it to second, 1. First base, 2. 6-4-3 on the double play with Scope crossing the plate. So no run batted in, but the double play, and the Rays welcome that. Sharply hit by Castillo. But Beckham stretching out made the play, and the ball hit sharply enough that he had time to get the ball to second, and Robertson a nice job on the relay back to first. So they turn the hard hit ball into a double play, exchange a run for 2 outs here, and gives Archer a chance to reset a little bit. Hyun-Soo Kim, the left fielder. He attempts a bunt and fouls it, strike 1. But to the credit of the Orioles, they have gotten on the board right after the Rays scored 4. And what you'd really love to see, won't see it now, but you score 4, you want to get right out there and shut down the opposition. The Orioles had other ideas and have crossed the plate twice. 0-2. That was a nice, easy 95 that time from Archer. He did go on the slider, and so Kim is out of there. 2-run score for Baltimore. 4-2 Rays. Rays baseball on Fox Sports Sun is brought to you by your Southern Chevy dealers. By Jeep. Get great deals at the Jeep Spring Clearance event. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Eric Norris will lead off the second inning. The only hitter for the Rays who did not get to the plate in the first. And there's ball 1 outside. A 36 pitch first inning. Foul out of play. 1-1. Jimenez issued a couple of walks to begin the first. The Rays took advantage to build their 4-run inning. See what they can do in the second. There's a liner into left center field. That's going to be in there for a base hit and will roll to the wall. Jones watched it roll right by him in between Jones and Kim, and it's a double. Ball loose now on the throw back in, and Jimenez comes up with it. 5th double of the year for Norris. Fastball right out over the plate. And Norris is in scoring position to begin the inning for the Rays. Jones a way to play a little carom there, but a double either way. Smith shows the bunt and fouls. Pitch, a little roller retrieved by Charlie Montoyo. Smith bunts this one foul right back into the screen. 0-2. Well, what the Rays would like to do here is reassert themselves. They had that 4-run first and had the Orioles down. It's been a very difficult stretch, as we mentioned and demonstrated here, for the Orioles. And they appear to be a team that if you get them down, you continue that process, and that'll leave you in pretty good shape. But Baltimore managed to come back with a couple runs in the top of the second. And now Smith strikes out. Pitch stayed up. That'll be the first strikeout for Jimenez. See the split, but it stayed up there. Now Corey Dickerson with a chance to pick up a run batted in. And the Rays would love to take advantage of this, in light of the fact that the Orioles did score a couple. Strike one. Jimenez trying to sharpen up his pitches, and even that last one, see where that slider wound up. And now strike right at the knees. 0-2. It's Norris with the double to begin the inning. Dickerson came into this game with just 1 hit and 10 at-bats against Jimenez, but that hit was a home run. Ground ball headed toward the middle, cut off by Tejada. No throw, no play anywhere, but moving to third is Norris, but he kept the ball in the infield. That's a base hit for Dickerson. The Rays will have men on the corners. It is up the middle, and Tejada cuts it off. And that ball gone through, even though Jones was headed in. It would have been interesting to see what Norris could have done trying to score. First and third now for Evan Longoria. Chapman with 2 runs batted in already in this game. He has 40 on the year. And shoots it into center field. Jones will go back to make the catch. Here's the tag. Norris will score from third, and the Rays make it 5-2. So the Rays have answered the 2 in the top of the inning with 1 so far here in the bottom. So they've put one of those runs in their lead back up there. Sacrifice fly. Well, it's 5 runs already, and the Orioles, 20 games in a row now, have given up 5 or more runs, and that will tie the 1924 Philadelphia Phillies record. Logan Morrison lifts a fly ball to right. Trumbo coming in, keeping his eye on that one to make the catch to retire the side. But the Rays add a run through 2. It's 5-2 Tampa Bay.
Around the second base bag, a lot of different keys here. Definitely depending on where the throw is. Tell us what you try to preach to your guys.
Right. All right, you're playing second base and you're in double play depth. Obviously, we shorten up and get close to the bag a little bit. Balls hit to the shortstop or the third baseman, or even sometimes the pitcher, and you're covering. You want to get there quick, but you want to break it down before you get to the bag. In other words, come hard as quick as you can. Short steps here. Find the bag with your left foot. Now, from here, right foot steps to the ball. If it's straight ahead, I'll just step this way, catch it, and throw. If the ball's out here a little bit, I'll use the bag, catch it, throw, use the bag to stop the runner from getting to me. And if it's thrown inside, I find the bag, throws inside, get it, and make the throw.
Great job right there by Tom Foley to raise 5-2, already leading in this game going into the second. Listen, one of the things that I love about Tom Foley and what he teaches is more fundamentals, not fancy. And a lot of times when you get into, especially those 13, 14-year-olds, now they're getting a little bit of an arm, they're getting be able to turn double plays, and they start getting a little fancy. And instead of being fundamentally sound, they try to be too quick. And the thing about double plays, having been a first baseman, what I'm looking for from my guy is to be sure with the first one. Sure with the first one. Like Foley was saying, go right foot towards the ball, sure, then quick. Instead of trying to be, too sweet and trying to do these funky double plays, you end up dropping it and you don't get either out. Yeah. This is a great example right here, Dougie. Watch this double play. Great play with the dive by Timmy Beckham. And then you're going to see our second baseman take the sure out. There it is right there. He was sure with that turn. Watch him. He grabs it. There's Robertson. Keeps his head on the ball. And then, okay, I can be quick now and try to get a double play out of it, which he did.
Yeah, actually, and one more thing that, that last double play, that was more reactionary. But most of the time on these double plays, you have to have communication in between the second baseman and the shortstop. If you don't have communication, a lot of times they don't know if the shortstop's going to flip it to him overhand, if he's going to go underhand, where's the feed going to come from, if they're expecting it up top and then they get one low. They got to communicate. And one last thing, Dwayne, these guys work on this every single day. They don't roll out there and all of a sudden they're good at turning double plays. You go out here, you watch these guys at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they are putting a lot of work in to get as good as they are.
Yeah, the game is, I think the nature of the game is that. You see Evan Longoria, and the reason he's such a great third baseman, he works at it. Same thing with the middle infielders. If you're going to turn double plays, it's the prep work that goes into that makes it, through body memory, among other things, but that's a big part of it. It makes it almost second nature. When you practice correctly, you execute in a game correctly. Seth Smith taking a strike. Tejada walked on 4 pitches, and that's again the last thing that Archer wanted to do after getting a 4-run lead in the first. The Orioles touched him for 2 in the second. Now another run for the Rays in their half the second, and here's a leadoff walk in the third. And it's the top of the order. Seth Smith. Pitch is down, 1-1.
Yeah, Dwayne, I love the fact that you highlighted Longoria because, look, this guy is a veteran. A lot of times you think of veterans, oh, they don't have to put the work in. This is before the game. Him and Pluth on their knees. Usually it's Tom Foley hitting them balls. This is every single day these guys get out here. Now, look, they don't feel 100%. They're coming out here before the games. This is during BP, before BP. They're getting their work in every single day, Dwayne.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. The other thing that both of you mentioned, I think, is so important. It's not the fancy play. You want to make sure that you make the plays you're supposed to make. There's such great value in that. Get the outs, turn the double play that you're supposed to turn. It's not the great play, the fancy play, but it's the play that you make every day. One of the reasons I think we've all been impressed with Daniel Robertson and the job he's done.
Yes, sir.
Ground ball to Robertson, out at second, and Beckham out at first. The Rays turn the double play.
Genius, Mr. Dwayne. You just called that one completely, didn't you? Did you already talk to the kid and Archer beforehand?
Yeah, he said, look, we get to the third inning, walk the first guy, and then throw a double play ball, because that's what we're going to talk about.
That's awesome. Why he's done like well over 5,500 games. That was beautiful right there, and you saw how well he kept his head down. He didn't rush that one. Remember when Dwayne was just talking about fancy? They didn't try to, the fancy guys try to get all quick and one-handed, try to get it over to their shortstop. They were nice and sure. They were sure to the first one. Then T. Beckham could kind of be a little quicker on the second one, though he didn't really need to because it was beautiful.
So here's Manny Machado. Boy, there's nothing like a double play to help you out if you're a pitcher and you walk the leadoff man. So the Rays turn the double play, and Machado fouls that first pitch back. A 96-mile-per-hour fastball from Archer to start Machado. So it's 5-2, bases empty with 2 outs. Slider down and away. Carlos Torres down there ruling that Machado did not go after that pitch. Popped up. Robertson looking for this one, and he makes the catch to retire the side. Double play in the middle of all that. We go to the bottom of the third. 5-2 Tampa Bay. The third, Rays are hosting a post-game concert Sunday when the Rays take on the Orioles. Kids 14 and under can keep their thumbs busy before Sabrina Carpenter plays hits like Thumbs and Eyes Wide Open with a Rays spinner, presented by TGH Children's Medical Center. Visit RaysBaseball.com today. Hey, they've been working hard.
Oh, yeah.
Look at hey, I want to keep your energy up. Sustenance, guys.
We're cardboard.
We're only in the third. We got to go full
we're
nine.
ready. I don't know what you're talking about over here. We're good. We're good.
Steven Suzy Jr. leading off. 1 ball, no strikes. Pops it up. A foul ball going to be out of play. 1-1. Suzy with a ground ball to short, his first time. And he's been on a nice little run lately, Steven Suzy Jr. Two balls and a strike. Last couple of weeks, his average has been up over 350. 13 games, 14 runs batted in. Well, that'd be a great pace to keep all year. Cutting a foul ball right at the feet of the plate umpire Paul Nart. Rays are facing Ubaldo Jimenez tonight. 6'5" right-hander out of the Dominican Republic. Count is full. Rays scored 4 in the first. They added another run in the second inning. 5 runs, 4 hits. They've been aided by 3 walks, and there's another one. Leadoff walk. And boy, for a team that has struggled the way the Orioles have, and they've tried to get back into this game, and the Rays have prevented that to this point. They lead 5-2, and a leadoff walk for a team like this is another demoralizing factor. And the Rays want to continue that trend. Here's Shane Peterson. He shows the bunt, gets the bat back. 1-0. Peterson drove in a run with a ground ball his first time. He's back up from Durham. Suzy Jr. draws the throw. The Rays have put the leadoff man on base in 3 consecutive innings. Big cut and a miss, and it's 1-1. The take down, 2-1. Peterson up in the count. And again a toss over to first on Suzy Jr. Runner goes. The pitch swung on, and a drive hit deep to right field. All the way back, Trumbo, and that's out of here. Home run for Shane Peterson. And the Rays come back with 2 more here to start the third. It's now 7-2. Peterson's second home run in a Rays uniform, and he connects off Jimenez here. And here's the split. Out over the plate. Peterson's first home run was on Rick Porcello up at Fenway Park back in the middle of April, and that started the Rays. Hit it in the second inning. That started them on their way to a 10-5 victory over the Red Sox at Fenway that day. And he has extended the lead here with a home run. It's a 5-run game right now. 1-0 the count to Tim Beckham. He lifts it into right. Trumbo lining up for this one makes the catch, and that's the first out. Well, the Rays as a team have hit for the cycle. They have 5 hits, 2 singles, a double, a triple, and a home run now. The catcher busy in the bullpen for the Baltimore Ball Club. It's a strike to Daniel Robertson. One. So a 4-run first, another run in the second, and 2 more here in the third. Foul ball in at the feet of Castillo. Sharply hit through the middle. There's a base hit. Cooks drilled right back over the mound and through. Robertson has his first hit of the game. It stayed up a bit more than Jimenez would like, and Robertson hit it hard. And here we are, 1 out into the third. So technically speaking, 2 1/3 into this game, and every member of the Rays lineup has reached base already. So Roger McDowell, the pitching coach, hold a little conference on the mound. There's the box score. That hit for Robertson gives him 1 for 2. And everyone has been on base. Souza opened this inning with a walk. Smith walked to begin the game. And Beckham walked his first time. So everybody has reached via a hit or walk. And here's a long shot down the left side. That ball might go. Home run! Derek Norris lines a home run. A 2-run shot here in the third. His 9th home run of the year. And the Rays continue to put the hurt on Ubaldo Jimenez. That makes it 9-2. Ball backing up right into the power zone of Derek Norris. And there it is. That baby out of here. Pitching change coming. That's it for Jimenez. We'll be back in a moment. baseball on Fox Sports Sun, brought to you by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. By Jeep, get great deals at the Jeep Spring Clearance event. And by Pinch a Penny, the perfect people for a perfect pool. Well, the Rays jumped on Ubaldo Jimenez for 9 runs in 2 1/3 innings. He gave up 7 hits, 4 walks. There's the line. A career high 9 earned runs allowed by Jimenez. And Alec Asher's in the game as Alex Smith sends this one just foul outside the left field line near the bullpen. Asher making his 19th appearance. 6 of those starts, 2 and 5 with a .499 earned run average. Close there and off the mid of Castillo. Well, not only the first couple times through the order have the Rays been able to put every man in the lineup on base. A little pop-up shallow center. Tejada's out from short, and he'll make the catch out there. 2 gone. The Rays with 9 runs, and everybody has scored a run in this game with the exception of Beckham, who walked and was left on base in the first. Home run by Shane Peterson and one by Derek Norris. The home run by Norris was the end of the evening for Jimenez. Just down. Asher was with the Phillies. Orioles acquired him at the end of March this year. He was recalled from their AAA club Norfolk in the first week of May. 2 balls, no strikes. Went up in April with Baltimore. Swing and a miss. It's 2-1. Made a start in the middle of April. Had a no decision against the Toronto Blue Jays and worked 6 1/3. So he's in the game here early in the 3rd in relief of Jimenez. Two and two. Last pitched on Wednesday. Three balls, 2 strikes. It's 2/3 of an inning day before yesterday. Count full as Dickerson fouls a 3-2 pitch away. Kevin Cash trying to get the Rays 4 games over 500. There's a ground ball through the left side with the shift on, and we saw early in the game how they really played that shift with Dickerson, and you wondered if he got a pitch away, if he'd take it that way, and he did. Threw into left, and so he's on for the 3rd time with a walk and 2 hits. Takes that pitch away on the ground and out of the reach of Machado. 9 runs, 8 hits for the Rays. Here's Evan Longoria. Strike on the corner. So another multi-hit game for Corey Dickerson, leading the American League in that department. High fly ball into left. Kim tracking that one a few steps in front of the warning track, and he makes the catch. 8 men come to the plate. The Rays have a big inning. They got the first 2 runs on the home run by Shane Peterson. And another 2-run home run by Derek Norris caps the 4-run inning, and the Rays lead 9-2. Tonight coming from Shane Peterson and Derek Norris to build a 9-2 lead through the first 3 innings. Chris Archer on the mound tonight, ready to open the 4th against Adam Jones. Chris with a ton of support tonight. Jones, Trumbo, and Scope due up. That's a first pitch fastball taken for a strike. Jones fouled out to Logan Morrison at first in the first. Rays hosting Baltimore for the first time this year. This is their 76th game of the season for the Rays. Base hit back into center field. Jones aboard. So a leadoff single here. Nobody out. Let's check in with Rich Hollenberg. Rich, how are you?
I'm terrific, Dwayne. No demos for me tonight, but I do have news for you. Kevin Cash playing a little bit of cat and mouse maybe with Buck Showalter. 2 big names coming back sometime this weekend. Catcher Wilson Ramos and reliever Brad Boxberger. They have not yet been activated, Dwayne, but they are in uniform. They are in the clubhouse earlier today, and they both said they're feeling 100% and ready to go. It's almost like picking up 2 free agents in June.
Yeah, that's like making a trade without making a trade when you can add that kind of ability and and talent to the club. And you could see why they would be excited and the club would be excited. Mark Trumbo. You get a lift kind that they potentially could get from both those guys. Another bat in this lineup that already has hit 117 home runs this year, and then get some additional help in the bullpen. That would be very significant. 1-1 to count to Mark Trumbo. As we've all discussed before, one of the key ingredients that Kevin Cash would love to see is some depth and reliability in the bullpen to get the ball from the starting pitcher to the closer. 2-1. And if they can do that and make the additions that we just saw, and they perform close to what they have in the past, I'll tell you, the Rays getting close to the halfway mark in terms of games played. The second half could be a lot of fun to watch. Ground ball shortstop, and it gets through Beckham. Peterson with the pickup. That ball sharply hit and got to Beckham in a hurry and got right by him.
Number 6, Jonathan Scope.
That's the kind, if you're there and you make the play, it's an easy double play. It's hit so hard. But the not so easy part is that ball is hit as hard as it is. And Beckham just could not get the glove down. So 2 men on. And they're going to rule out a base hit. I guess too hot to handle is the justification. Jonathan Scope. This pitch is down now. We mentioned before Scope in this lineup, and Archer's had some trouble with some of these hitters before, but Scope has been very good against him, hitting .350, and half of his 6 hits coming into this game, now 7. 3 of those are home runs. And Archer's behind him 2-0. 14 home runs on the year for Scope, and that's one thing the Orioles can do, is they play half of their games in a park that's conducive to that, but they have some power, this team. Line drive toward right center. That ball will get by Souza Jr. and will be picked up by Smith. Jones will score. Trumbo heads to the plate. He crosses standing up on the double by Scope. And the Orioles are saying they will not go away. So 2 runs score, and now it's 9-4. The fastball out over the plate, and Scope doubles. He's 2 for 2, and he continues to be a problem for Archer. So 6 hits allowed by Archer. Trumbo, Scope, and Mancini had consecutive hits in the second, and now Jones, Trumbo, and Scope consecutive hits in the fourth. So which way is it going to go? Is it going to be one of those nights where these clubs just score runs and keep scoring runs? Or is Archer going to settle in here? And he's had difficulty doing that through the years against this ball club. Trey Mancini. He drove in a run with a base hit his first time. And misses the slider, strike 1. Again, the slider, and he was reaching out, just got a little bit of it. So a 2-strike count. Mancini. And he strikes him out on the slider. And boy, that is so the key for Archer, as we discussed earlier. And it's holding true again here in a microcosm in this inning. We talked about the count, whether he's 2-1 on a hitter or 1-2 or 0-2. And again, he was 2-1 to Jones, who singled, 2-1 to Trumbo, who singled, 2-0 to Scope, who doubled. But then he got ahead of Mancini, 2 strikes, and struck him out. And here's Castillo. Pitch is a fastball wide, and the breadth of that is what he does when he's ahead 1-2. Hitters hitting 127 against him, and when he's at 2-1 against him, they hit 529. So that's how important that first pitch strike is, and the 1-1 pitch, how important it is. And now he's behind Castillo. Archer a little over 50 pitches. 1 out, 2 runs, and a base runner into the 4th. High popper, short right center. Robertson out. In from right comes Souza Jr. making the catch. So he gets a big out right there on Wellington Castillo. Runner at second. Young-Soo Kim, the left fielder, is on his way to the plate.
Number 25, Young-Soo Kim.
Three strikeouts for Archer. Kim was the second strikeout of the game to end the second inning. And that's a first pitch slider, strike 1. He got ahead of Kim similarly in the second inning, 0-2, and then struck him out on a slider. And 1. Archer coming off the 6th inning outing in Detroit and a 3-2 win. It was on the 17th. One. Kim turns away. Fastball in, 2-1. Ruben Tejada is on deck. Line drive right to Longoria. That will retire the side. 2 runs with a man left. We go to the bottom of the 4th, 9-4 Rays.
especially if it's situational. If I want to stay closed with my front shoulder and nothing but handwork. Down to taking my knob straight to the baseball, and I'm going here, and I'm gonna stay through with that top hand.
So right there, I mean, that was beautiful. It's not the one thing that we see a lot of young kids do. As you're coming in, you're setting in, you're nice, they cast out too much and they throw. So you're saying, boom, with those hands, kind of bust the hands, trust that the head's gonna come through properly.
Exactly. And even the pitch, if you're thinking up the middle, a pitch down and in, the pitcher's best fastball down and in, I can take my knob to that ball and keep this ball, and I can hit this fastball down and in, and I can actually hit that ball to right center field.
Yeah, that's one of the things right now. 9-4 the Rays leading and trying to add some more on these Orioles here in the bottom of the fourth. But that's one of the things that I'm really noticing about Timmy Beckham that he's done well this year. He's tried to stay within himself and literally within himself, because if you can learn how to get that ball, that knob of the bat at the ball, believe it or not, you literally try to throw the knob of the bat at the ball. And you think, well, what are you talking about? You want to get the head of the bat. But what happens really is that if you're trying to throw the knob of the bat at the ball, look at how nice and flat my bat head is as I come through the zone, and then I end up right there. If I throw my hands at the ball, then all of a sudden I'm casting around, and my point of really contact is really kind of damaged, and I can only hit certain pitches. Knob of the bat at the ball, then I can whip it. Timmy's been doing it great. Well, Corey Dickerson's been doing it great all season.
And one thing, as a pitcher, if I'm seeing somebody cast their hands, show me how you cast your hands.
Yes, if I'm up here and I'm trying to, if I cast my hands out towards the pitch.
So as a pitcher, I'm seeing somebody cast their hands. I'm throwing a two-seam fastball, which is a sinking fastball, going into his hand. So what that does is I'm going to start it right down the middle. It's going to come inside. And when you see a lot of broken bats, that's exactly what's happening. It's getting on the inside hands, just above the hands.
As opposed to give me that same pitch again. And if I notice it, it's coming in, and I'm coming through the ball, pulling my hands to my body, and then I'm hitting that ball square right on the meat of the bat, and then I'm flicking it out. What Timmy was trying to also talk about, and actually Logan Morrison, give me that pitch right there in the inside half too. Sometimes, even especially with 2 strikes when you're trying to protect, you can even do that and hit the ball up the middle. See how where the head of the bat ends up here? Boom, I'm hitting that ball right there. I don't have to hit it and hook it. You'll see those hook foul balls a lot of times, and that's what really not where you want to be. The pitcher's happy when you get those hook foul balls.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dwayne, one thing, if I don't walk out of here tonight with bruises all over my body from this bat, I don't know. It'll be a miracle.
Juan is fine.
I think there's some extra hazard pay in it for you.
I agree 100%.
Well, here we are in the bottom of the fourth with Logan Morrison up 2-2 the count on him. Morrison, Souza Jr., and then Peterson do. And there's that pitch that was cutting in on Logan Morrison as he bounces it foul. Logan triple, picking up his first 3-base hit of the year in the first. Fly ball to right in the second. He shoots this one into center field with some carry, but Jones in front of the track will make the catch for the out. One away here with the bases empty. Let's go back to Orestes and Doug now.
And a good example, like earlier in the game, a little two-seamer that Ubaldo Jimenez had thrown. Let's take a look at it. There's the two-seamer that's coming, Dougie. This is not the pitch that you wanted because, well, it kind of had a little sink to it, but look at what Norris is able to do. Look at the hands coming through towards his belly, basically, towards his body, and then he pulls the head of the bat through. If he throws his hands out at that ball, again, if he throws it out at that ball, all of a sudden he's hitting it foul. And again, pitchers kind of want you to hit that ball foul, especially early in the count for strike one, because then they're going to work you accordingly.
So that pitch right here, it was right here, two-seam fastball, and it was about 6 inches up too high. Dwayne, if that pitch was right down here, that ball is either on the end of the bat, broken bat, or it's an out somewhere. Yeah. Maybe possibly a foul ball. So that's the difference in major leagues. Is it's typically 4 to 6 inches. That much difference can be the difference of a home run and an out.
Yeah, there's a hitting zone and the out zone.
Yeah, there is.
and that's what command is. I would think that's what command is all about for a pitcher.
Yeah. Yeah, control and command to me are two different things. You said command to me is throwing strikes inside the strike zone.
Yep.
Okay, he's not just throwing, he's not ahead of hitters, but by throwing it down the middle, he's commanding the inside corner, the outside corner. He's going vertical. Now, when you talk about control, a lot of times it says, oh, well, he doesn't walk a lot of guys. Well, you know, that doesn't mean a ton. If he's got control, doesn't mean he's a good pitcher, Dwayne, just like you were stating.
Yeah, command gives you the ability to work the strike zone, work a hitter. And hitters are looking for those hittable pitches. You want to stay away from that. Souza Jr. called out on strikes. 2 up and 2 down. Rays had put the leadoff man on base in each of the first 3. But Asher has retired Morrison and Souza Jr. And now the pitch to Peterson is away. Off the plate. 1 ball, no strikes. He's got 9 runs off Jimenez, and Asher in the game after 2 1/3. 2-0, and Peterson, just back from Durham, has driven in 3 runs tonight. 2 on the home run in the 3rd. This one cued the other way. 2-1. Peterson belting his 2nd home run of the year. 2-1 pitch. Split, and he hit it out to right field. Now 2-2. Come out in front that time. Pretty good pitch by Asher. On deck, hoping to get a chance to hit, is Tim Beckham. Chop foul. Rays with 9 runs, 8 hits. They've left a man on in each of the first 3 innings. Peterson, who was behind in the count, now has to go out to 3-2. Ball 4. So Asher on a 3-2 changeup walks Shane Peterson.
The shortstop, Tim Beckham.
And there's Tim Beckham. Will get a chance to swing the bat in this inning. Beckham has walked and lifted a fly ball into right. Pops it out of play, back and foul. Asher will use a variety of pitches. He's not overpowering. He's 90, 91. For the most part with his fastball. This one is popped up. Out from short to Hada, Kim, and Jones in. Jones in shallow center makes the catch. Rays leave a man. We go to the 5th inning. 9-4 Tampa Bay. Tonight's Geico great moment. It was on this day in 2003. Damian Rolls sizing up Roger Clemens for 2 home runs, becoming just the 11th player to do that. He also kicked in a double, making him the 3rd player ever to get 3 extra base hits off Clemens in a game. That's quite a night for Damian Rolls. We go to the 5th. Chris Archer trying to settle down this game a bit. The Orioles got him for 2 runs in the 2nd, 2 in the 4th, and Ruben Tejada leads it off. Pitch is a strike. Tejada drew a walk, the one walk given up by Archer. He walked him on 4 pitches to open the 2nd inning, and then got a double play ball out of Seth Smith. So the Orioles have put the leadoff man on base in 3 of the last 4 innings. Archer trying to put a stop to that trend. The slider's in for a strike, 1 and 2. Smith on deck, and then Machado due to hit 3rd. Did he go? I think he did. He vacates the plate, and now he's out. He did go on a ball that broke into the dirt. Tejada is out on strikes. Strikeout number 4 for Archer, and we'll check in with Doug and Orestes.
Hey, Dwayne, you know, we did this last year, a couple of demo days, and we loved it, and we had really good reviews from everybody loving it. And last year, we also had one of our stars in it, which is Leo Ramirez, the little nephew of none other than Erasmo Ramirez. Dame 5. Qué bueno verte otra vez. Enséñame cómo pichea tu tío Erasmo. He's going to show me how Erasmo Ramirez does it. Let me see. Enséñame. Pichea. ¿Cómo es? Hace el tiro. And
all right.
Nice. Dougie, what do you think you need to fix here a little bit?
Dwayne, real quick, what I would do if I'm working with a player this young, and I love how he gives me a high five every time it's just the best. It's the best. I mean, this is great. A player this young, all you're looking to do is the very basics. So what I would have him do is just lift your leg.
Levanta la pierna.
And step straight.
Derecho para afuera.
So really all you're looking for is him to step toward his target. Right now you got to start with the basics. Step toward your target, get your arm angle up, and just let it fly. And you don't want to give them too much direction when they're this young. You just want to kind of let them go.
Yeah, and if you don't let them go, they'll go anyway.
That's right. That's right.
And Leo Ramirez is as friendly as Erasmo Ramirez. That's really great.
He's not shy. He came over here and he said, you know, I want to be in the show again. He knows where he knew exactly where the show was at, by the way, Dwayne. He came over here. He led his mom and his grandmother over here. And little Leo said, I'm ready to roll.
Hollywood.
Yeah, he is a handsome young man right there.
Hey, you know what? This is what it's about, man. We had 200 little leaguers here. The Rays hosted, you know, a bunch of little leaguers all week long. Coach Skip Matthews from Eckerd College and his boys, and we tutored a bunch of kids from ages about Leo's age, you know, 6, 7 years old all the way to 14, 15, and they worked on everything. And as Doug would say, sometimes when you get to the basic fundamentals, and as you were saying too, Dwayne, not fancy, fundamentals. Have fun and get to the basics. And a lot of the times it's about getting just the basic. And the one thing I will say that I talked to the kids about today, the game of baseball is about repetition.
It is that indeed. Here's a fly ball to left, caught by Peterson. And so Archer retires the first 2 men here in the 5th inning. And he'll face Manny Machado with the bases empty, which if you have to face him, it's the best way to face him. Machado tonight has struck out, popped out to second. The Rays bats have been out and productive tonight to the tune of 9 runs. They lead 9-4. Machado shoots it into right. Souza on the run. there. Steven Souza Jr. racing toward the line, back toward the corner and right. Makes the catch. A 1-2-3 inning. Exactly what Archer was looking for. 9-4 Rays. The fifth inning will find Daniel Robertson to lead it off, then Derek Norris and Malik Smith in a 9-4 ball game. The Rays are facing Alec Asher in relief of Ubaldo Jimenez, who was charged with all 9 runs. And here is Daniel Robertson taking the first pitch on the outside corner for a strike. Robertson with a single and a run scored in 2 at-bats. A little tapper charged by Machado. He gloves, and the throw to first is in time as Mancini managed to keep his foot on the bag right there. Take another look as they get the hustling Robertson. Machado with a nice scoop and the throw on the run. And there's the stretch. And that foot on the bag, in possession of the baseball into the mitt. It's the first out. Well, the Orioles playing without Chris Davis, out with the oblique strain. Derek Norris to strike back. They have Chris Davis out with the oblique. Of course, J.J. Hardy just the other day went on the DL with a fracture of his right wrist. A little number off the bat of Norris. And the throw to first. That is in time, says Carlos Torres. And that was very close over there. Norris gets rid of that little shin guard. He's pretty satisfied that he beat the play, and it will be looked at. I mean, here's a better look. Foot on the bag, ball entering the mitt. So the Rays are going to get the base runner one would expect. You know, you get a catcher and he has a chance for an infield hit. He's not going to give it back. He's staying right there. So that's a base hit.
Number 0, Alex Smith.
An infield hit for Norris, and he's 3 for 3. Second hit given up by Asher. Now we go to the top of the lineup. Here's Malik Smith. 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. He opened the Rays offense with a walk in the first. Came around to score the first of 4 runs in that inning. 1-0 count right now. Balls, no strikes. Take there, low for ball 3. 12-game hitting streak for Malik Smith. One on, one out, 3-0 count. And that's ball 4. Draws another walk, and that pushes Norris up to second base. 6 walks drawn by the Rays tonight. Be sure and get in on the action with exclusive on-field seating in the Papa John's bullpen box. Host your group of 50 to 85 in the private party area. Just steps away from the Rays bullpen. Reserve the Papa John's bullpen box by contacting Group Sales at 888-FAN-RAYS or emailing Group Sales at RaysBaseball.com. Limited dates remain. Corey Dickerson with another multi-hit game, 2 for 2 with a walk, so he's been on in all 3 plate appearances. He takes a strike at the knees. Another scoring opportunity. They've been on in every inning. Scored in 3 of the first 4. In the bottom of the 5th right now. And the attempt at a curveball, and it stays wide. 1-1. Trying to rebuild a lead, which is 5 right now. They led by 7 at one point. A foul ball deflected off Castillo as Dickerson went down to one knee. Dickerson comes in hitting .360 with men in scoring position. He's the 3rd leading hitter in the league to start play tonight. And this time up, he's hitting .331. Asher taking his time now with a couple men on base. And that one goes down and in. 2-2. That's Evan Longoria looking on deck. He's had a 3 RBI night so far. The 2-2 popped up. That'll be foul right back out of play. This is one thing that Dickerson has been so good at this year. Fouling pitches away, extending at bats. A lot of strength in that swing by Dickerson, and now he gets time granted again by Paul Nart. Stepping back, tired of waiting on Asher. Two, and we have a full count. Rays, after Asher took over in the third, had a base runner. That was the base hit to left by Dickerson after he worked the count to 3-2. Worked it to 3-2 with 2 men on and 1 out in the 5th. He lines it foul toward the bullpen. Will be the 8th pitch of this at bat. Orioles have some additional action in the bullpen as Asher is ready to make the 3-2 pitch again, and it's fouled one more time. And Miguel Castro up. Down in the bullpen, Castillo spent some time with Asher. There's Castro. Rays have led throughout the evening. 4-0, 4-2, 5-2. 9-2, now 9-4. Three-2 is wide, ball 4, and the bases are going to be loaded. Now the infield single by Norris, followed by walks to Smith and Dickerson. And Buck Showalter's on his way to the mound. Evan Longoria is due up for the Rays. And that's going to be it for Asher. So a pitching change for Baltimore. Well, it's demo night at the ballpark, and with that in mind, let's go to Doug Wechter and the towel drill.
All right, today we're going to do the towel drill. This is a great drill. Little leaguers use it all the way up to the major leagues. Good for pitchers to really get full extension, teach you how to get full extension on your pitch. All right, Colt, go ahead and grab this towel. You're going to grab it and grip it just like a 2-seam fastball, 4-seam fastball. You want these 2 index finger and middle finger going through the towel, okay? Now what I'm going to have him do is go through his normal delivery, and as a coach, I'm going to come down to the end of the slope, and I'm going to lock in where he's throwing his towel. Go ahead, buddy. Good. All right, so I marked right here. That's where he's fully at, full extension with that towel. So my goal is to get him even further out. I want him to drive, and I want him to feel like he's getting more extension. So if he's right here with that towel, I'm putting my glove right here, so I'll get another inch of extension. All right, buddy, go ahead. Good. So he's touching the glove. All right, he's barely hitting it. So I'm going to keep my glove there, and I'm going to ask him to try to go a little bit deeper on the glove so I know he's understanding what I want him to do. Good. So that one went a little bit deeper. That means he's getting even further extension. Try it one more time for me, bud. Good. That one went right here. All right, so obviously he understands what we're trying to do. He's doing a good job of getting full extension, and he's driving out toward the mound that much further just after 3 throws. All right.
Mess with me, I might have to come back.
All right, so we're here with Drew Mullins, who is actually a teammate of my son's. 9 years old, or 10 years old. Did you already celebrate your birthday? 9 years old. And so we already talked to you about the beginners and how what you want to teach them when they're throwing. Well, Drew's an intermediate now. He's actually pitching in games. What sometimes we deal with the younger kids around 9-10 is balance point. So a lot of times we'll go over drills to teach them better balance point. Here's a drill for you right here. It's the toe tap drill. You're going to have the pitcher stand in his set position. So go ahead and come set, Drew. And then we're going to have him come up and tap 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and then come up and go home. So what that does is continues to teach a kid how to stay on the backside, stay balanced, and not rush toward home plate. When you start rushing toward home plate, you're going to leave your arm behind, jump at home plate, and the pitches are going to be elevated on you. Drew, you're a natural, man. And one more thing, Dwayne, check out the jersey we got on here. Little throwback,
yeah,
little
like
Rocco Baldelli. How about that?
It looks good.
Looking good.
Fundamentals of pitching here. And here we go with a new pitcher for Baltimore, Miguel Castro. Which is down, and the count goes to 1-1 on Evan Longoria. Castro making his 8th appearance for Baltimore with that .432 earned run average. Originally acquired back in early April from Colorado. That pitch stayed in. Tried to throw the slider there, and it stayed up and in a bit, and it's 2-1. Rays have loaded the bases. That pitch runs in at 96. A fastball, 3 balls and a strike. He's in with the bases loaded. And behind Longoria, 3-1. Norris third, Smith at second, Dickerson at first. And ball 4. That's going to force home a run. The Rays will get their 10th run of the ball game. So the infield hit with 1 out started this, and now 3 consecutive walks. The 4th run batted in for Longoria tonight. Bases remain loaded for Logan Morrison. Morrison tripled in a run in the first. He is 1 for 3. Ground ball down to first. Off the glove of Mancini. Everybody's going to be safe, and another run will score. Malik Smith crosses the plate. 2 runs home in the inning. The Rays have an 11-4 lead. And Morrison is aboard. Mancini tried to backhand it. One thing we know for sure, Morrison will get a run batted in on this. Ball coming up in the heel of the mitt. It's going to be an error charge to Mancini. And the Rays get a run, so an error and an RBI. Steven Susie Jr. And that pitch had great movement down at 96 or 97. Well, if you can sink the ball like that on a pitch down, you can see why they would have interest in Castro. Harnessing that is another matter. wind down there in the mid-90s. 0-2. Yeah, so that's why the Orioles have interest in this right-hander. Ball chopped to short. Tejada has to wait, and they misplay it at second base. 1 run is in as Dickerson scores. Longoria is going to cross the plate. Morrison will wind up at third, and Souza Jr. is aboard. The Rays pick up 2 more runs, so it's now 13-4. And watch the throw by Tejada right here. He gets a big hop, comes up with it, and then just tries to push the ball to second, and it fades on Jonathan Scope. So that's a fielder's choice, an error on the shortstop Tejada, and a run batted in. First and third now with Shane Peterson up here in a 13-4 ball game. And this one is fouled out of play. And I must say, and the Orioles are dealing with injuries, but we have not seen a Baltimore club play in this manner. The Orioles for a long time have had a reputation to not make many self-inflicted mistakes. 1-1 the count, and you know that this is not pleasing to Buck Showalter. One the count on Peterson. Fouled away. Still just the one out of the inning, first and third. Way wide there. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, Longoria has 4 runs batted in. Morrison has 2. Souza has a run batted in, and the other run on that tap scored on the error. Peterson with 3 runs batted in, and Norris has 2. Count is full. The Rays have had 6 men reach base in succession in the last 5 without a hit. The only hit of the inning is the infield hit. It's popped up, shallow left. Kim is there to make the catch. Morrison's going to try to score, and the throw will be cut off. He crosses the plate. Peterson picks up his 4th run batted in. And as Morrison scores, Souza Jr. goes into second. That turns out to be a short sacrifice fly to left. The Rays have another run home here in the 5th. It's a 5-run inning, and the Rays are up 14-4. Strike to Beckham. So a 5-run 5th. To go with a 4-run first, a single marker in the 2nd, and a 4-run 3rd. Now 5 in the 5th. 1-1. So the Rays with 14 runs. This is a season's high for them. It's wide. So the Rays have scored 5 runs in this inning on just 1 hit, and that was the infield single by Derek Norris that the Rays had to challenge and won the challenge, and that has led to all of this. And a little tap out in front of the plate. Throw down to first. Castillo to Mancini. Beckham is out. 9 men come to the plate. The Rays lead 14-4.
At the demo day dungeon over here where we're doing all our demos, and I'm back with Dougie's buddy over here. We're going to talk a little bit about hitting, and I'll tell you what, the Rays 14-4, they're hitting the ball pretty well. And one of the things that is important for me is being in athletic position and being very balanced. And a lot of times young hitters will kind of get unbalanced. They'll get on the heel. So early on, even at his age, what we're trying to work on is getting at the balls of your feet. And the difference between being on your toes and being on the balls of your feet, it's kind of minimalistic, but very important. So you don't want to be in your heels, because a lot of kids get in their heels and all of a sudden they're off balance and they're not really using their body properly. And you don't want to be on your toes too much because you're also off balance. So it's an athletic position, kind of like you're playing defense in basketball or linebacker in football. And I want my weight to be on the inside part of my body. So here you go right now. I'm going to get him in an athletic position. He's going to have there it is right there. You see how you see the heels up a little bit? If I push back on him, he shouldn't fall back too much. There you go. If he's kind of on his heels, like get yourself on the heels right now, and I push back, see how he falls out of balance? So the keys to a hitter, athletic position, inside weight, and ball on the balls of your feet, and then boom, go to mashing, Dwayne. Go to talking.
All right, here we are, having fun at the old ballpark, coupled with teachable moments on demo day. And boy, quite a demonstration going on the field here by the Rays, and some oddities at the same time when you look back at that 5-run 5th inning. The Rays had 2 of those runs earned. There's a base hit up the middle by Jones on the 1-1 fastball. And Jones is 2 for 3 tonight. It's the 7th hit for Baltimore. In that 5th inning, the Rays scored 5 runs on just 1 hit, and that was an infield hit. A couple of errors, 1 run directly scored as a result of an error. So you had 4 runs batted in, and the other run on the error on just 1 hit, and that hit had nothing to do with the run batted in. The Rays have built a 10-run lead, 14-4. Now Mark Trumbo. Pitches upstairs. It's the 70th pitch of the night for Archer. Up the strike. That's the slider. Two balls and a strike. So a lot of support tonight for Chris Archer in the opening game of this series. He has had some difficulty with the middle of the order. Strike 2-2-2. The number 3 hitter Jones is 2 for 3 tonight. Trumbo at the plate now 2 for 2. Scope behind him is 2 for 2. Mancini 1 for 2 with a run batted in, so those 3, 4, 5, and 6 spots have contributed for the Orioles. But on the other side, the Rays have pounded out 9 hits with a couple of home runs. They've taken advantage of opportunities presented by the Orioles, and they built a 14-4 lead. Liner into center field, and that will be caught by Malik Smith. Trumbo retired for the first time tonight. They feel the force tomorrow when the Rays take on the Orioles, and the first 15,000 fans take home a Kevin Kiermaier Star Wars bobblehead presented by Tech Data. So be a part of the action. Visit RaysBaseball.com. Tomorrow a 4:10 first pitch, and Jake Faria, the rookie right-hander who's pitched so well, will be hooked up against Dylan Bundy, who is an outstanding young right-hander for Baltimore. Jonathan Scope. Scope singled and scored in the second. He doubled home 2 runs in the fourth. Popper out to short, handled by Beckham, and the bat no longer serviceable. 2 gone. Still at first, Jones with Trey Mancini about to step in. Mancini with 39 runs batted in. Into the dirt, blocked by Norris. As they open a new series here against Baltimore, trying to continue what has been a very good trend for them over their last 12 series. They've won 8 of those, lost only 1, and have split the other 3. They're getting off to a good start tonight, building this 14-4 lead at the end of 5 on Baltimore. Ball 3. Right now, the Rays, with their 39-36 record, positioned for the 2nd American League wild card berth. Trailing the Yankees and the Red Sox. They're in a virtual tie for first at the start of the day. So that would be the lead, and then that first wild card spot. The Rays positioned in the 2nd wild card spot right now. 3-2 the count. Mancini. Well, you take a look at the East here. The Rays 2.5 back. New York starting at 39-31. Boston 40-32. And to right center field. Souza Jr. will have to play it off the bottom of the wall. Jones is headed to the plate. It's going to be a double for Mancini. So the Orioles put up another run. Mancini's 2nd run batted in. And it's 14-5. Mancini's 12th double of the year. Slider started in and broke out right over the middle of the plate. Mancini takes it into right center. So that's 8 hits given up by Archer. 5 runs, 8 hits. Castillo, the catcher. The slider missed to him. 1-0. Fastball up and in. 2-0. So Archer with an 18-pitch inning going right now. 21 pitches in the 4th. And he's behind Castillo. Fastball, and this one missed high. There's a strike. 3-1. That 3-0 strike, boy, if it's presentable and close, it's got an even chance to be a strike, and that one falls into that category. Kim on deck. Hyun-Soo Kim, the left fielder. And a miss this time. So there's the walk. First and second now with a run home. Don't forget this summer some of the biggest names in basketball, including Allen Iverson, Chauncey Billups, Kenyon Martin, and Jermaine O'Neal, head out on a 10-city professional 3-on-3 battle. Ice Cube presents Big 3 basketball starting Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on FS1. Here's Kim taking a strike. One strike count on Kim. You saw Austin Pruitt start to throw in the bullpen for the Rays. Now it's a ball. Plate umpire Paul Nart. 1-1. into the screen. Ball, 2 strikes. Well, Archer's been supported to the tune of 14 runs, and that's good for him because it has been an uneven night for him against this Orioles lineup. And the Orioles have given him fits before. Kim fouls it back. Archer came in with a lifetime earned run average of 469 against the Orioles. And a record of 3-7, and right now that earned run average would go up. Down to third. Longoria is going to have to take it to first out there. So the Baltimore Orioles settle for a run. We go to the bottom of the 6th, 14-5 Rays. A big story of the day and a lot going on at Fenway. Carl Yastrzemski there, Pedro Martinez for a special day. David Ortiz, Big Papi, the 10th player to have his number retired and the first player to do it in the first year of his retirement. So he throws out the first pitch, demonstrating why he was a DH all those years. And what a hitter he was. And the pregame festivities with the Angels in town. And Boston in the top of the 7th has a 7-2 lead over the Angels. Porcello pitching that game for Boston. And Hanley Ramirez has reached double figures in home runs with 10. Here the Rays have a 14-5 lead. Alex Cobb and Chris Archer talking skills of the trade there in the dugout. And the Rays will come into bat in the bottom of the 6th. Ground ball that gets by the pitcher Castro, picked up by Tejada at the bag at second, and he makes the play. So Robertson is out short to first. Ball came riding in on Robertson. Ray sent 9 men to the plate in the 5th inning and scored 5 runs on 1 hit. And now Derek Norris, who is 3 for 3, bats with the bases empty and 1 out. Norris has moved his average to 201 with the 3 for 3 tonight. And the fastball from Castro misses. It's at 96. One. Castro had seen some time in the big leagues with the Blue Jays, originally in the Blue Jays system, then to Colorado, and the Orioles got him from the Rockies. 2-1. Top of the order, Mallex Smith is on deck. Oh, pitch hits him. And he felt that one. So Norris hit by the pitch. And they'll take a look at him. See this getting him down near the wrist. So the Rays will get a base runner out of that, and they'll make sure that wrist is all right. Well, the Rays continue to get base runners in every inning. Now the question is what they do with Norris here in regard to that injury. At this point, a hit by pitch. Castro tries to stay loose out there on the mound. So he's going to stay in there at least for the time being. Mallex Smith will be the hitter. Has been on twice. He's 0 for 2. Has scored 2 runs. The pitch for a strike from Castro. Fly ball headed toward Jones in center. Got that one, and 2 gone in the 6th. Hey, vote today, vote tomorrow. Vote Rays for your 2017 All-Stars at the Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot. Go to RaysBaseball.com/vote and catch all of the excitement of the 88th MLB All-Star Game presented by MasterCard. That's July 11th live on Fox. And Corey Dickerson having such a great year for the Rays. He's been on 4 times tonight. He takes the ball outside. A runner at first with 2 gone. 2 walks, 2 singles, 2 runs scored. 96 hits, leading the league in that department. Now 1-1. Front. This would foul off Castillo. Both catchers taking their lumps here in this inning. Norris hit by a pitch, and Castillo absorbing that foul ball. Norris at first. The count to 2-2 off the plate. Ooh, down around his feet. Oh, and they're going to say he went around. What? Says Dickerson. Dana Demuth said he went around, and Dickerson said, hey, I'm trying to get out of the way of a pitch down around my feet. Kevin Cash is going to come out to have a little discussion with Dana Demuth. And at that point, he goes around, and then you go to intent. So he's going to be out on strikes. Dana Demuth moving this game along. 14-5 Rays.
Son, the fun and zany hijinks continues. Today was demo day. Tomorrow, not only is it Star Wars night at the Trop, but if you notice this, I keep score during the games. For some reason, the Fox Sports Sun crew has elected me to show you how to keep score during a game. So I'm going to translate this to a big grease board. I'll be sitting outside the porch in the outfield at Tropicana Field, and whenever anything interesting happens on the score sheet, you'll get to see how it's scored officially by yours truly. That's going to be a fun time. Come on tomorrow, or watch it on Fox Sports Sun, guys.
We'll look forward to that, of course. It's been a fun night tonight with the youngsters involved and demo night. And we're going to get a new catcher. Norris hit by a pitch. Mark Vinson, the assistant athletic trainer, had gone out to take a look at him. And now Norris will be lifted, and we'll get a new pitcher as well. Jesus Sucre takes over behind the plate. Austin Pruitt's going to be on the mound. Well, and we'll get other changes as well. You see Featherston's in there at second. Borges is in the game in right. So we have Borges, Featherston, and Sucre newly entering the game. And Robertson going over to play short. The first pitch to Tejada lifted into center. And Alex Smith makes the catch there. So Daniel Robertson, who started the game at second, is now at shortstop. Pruitt on for the 18th time with a record of 5-1. Working on getting that 6.91 ERA down a bit. Seth Smith will be the hitter with one out and the bases empty in the 7th. And there's a strike. Chris Archer worked 6 innings tonight, 92 pitches, 8 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. 2. A base hit the opposite way through the open side. Longoria was over there by himself, and Smith takes it the other way. Picks up the base hit. Tampa Bay Rays baseball is presented by Jeep. So 1 out base hit. Smith at first. And the hitter is Manny Machado. Machado, nothing out of 3, retired in the 5th inning on a fine catch by Souza Jr., who was in right at the time. The plate in 2-0. High pop up on that 2-0 pitch. Morrison trying to make the play on that one. Morrison and Smith. Morrison and Smith had a little entanglement down there at first base. And Carlos Torres has made a call on this right here. As Morrison worked his way up through the screen set by Smith and still managed to come up with the catch. And the umpires are going to huddle it up at the request of Buck Showalter on this one. So Machado has effectively popped out, and they'll sort out the rest of this call. Dana DeMuth, the third base umpire, is the crew chief. And so the runner at first is going to be called out on the interference. So Smith has a little walking chat there with the umpire to see if he clearly understands this. You see Morrison and Smith making contact there. And so they'll, this is one of those knotty problems of baseball. See Dana DeMuth huddling there. So Morrison's going to get a put out here. And they're going to, they'll send Machado to first. Yeah, it's an interesting resolution to this matter. Machado, who essentially popped out, will go to first. It'll be interference. The interference perpetrated by the base runner Smith. And the ruling we're getting is that they're going to charge Machado with an at bat. So he reaches on an interference, and I'm going to put interference INT in the square in my scorebook right now. And hey, that's something that we can sort out in great detail tomorrow when Rich leads the charge on how to score. So we have a homework assignment for Rich Hollenberg tonight, and we'll look forward to his answer tomorrow. And Doug and the rest to say they would just leave it blank. You know, there have been broadcasters in the past who would just put WL for wasn't looking. So that's an interference. Machado goes to first. Smith is out. 3 unassisted, as it turns out, on the pop-up, and just to put out the 3. So Morrison at first got the put out. And in a sense, it's an interference-induced fielder's choice, right? I think we're of like mind that way. 1-2 the count on Adam Jones. It's tap foul. So still 1-2. And if it took us a little while to make sure that we entered it into the scorebook correctly, I really don't feel that badly, because the 4 umpires had to confer first. Buck Showalter had to ask what's going on. The base runner Smith had to have it explained to him. And at the end of the day, they lost a base runner, gained a base runner. Machado, on what turns out to be a fielder's choice, be charged with an at bat. So he's at first, 2 gone, the 1-2, and a little tap headed up the middle, and it gets by Featherston into center. Machado's going to go to third, and Jones has his 3rd straight hit of the night. He is 3 for 4.
Number 40,
Right back over the mound, hits the mound. Featherston tried to backhand it, but could not quite get down there in time. So first and third, 2 outs, and here's Mark Trumbo. Ground ball third. Longoria with the throw to first takes care of Trumbo. We're headed into the bottom of the 7th. 14-5 Rays.
Listen, 14-5 right now, bottom of the 7th. There's no doubt that there's a lot of pitching and hitting going on very positively for the Rays. And you know what? Pitching and hitting, Dougie, actually physically, very much the same. So when you think about it, what does a hitter do? A hitter gets set up. He wants to be in an athletic position on the balls of your feet. We were talking about a little earlier with your boy Drew. And then when you set up and you're taking back, I want my weight to be bearing on the backside here. I'm loading up, right? I got my hands back, my shoulder swivels in. I take my stride, I step, I set, I plant, boom, and I explode on the pitch. What happens with a pitcher?
I love how he just showed you one thing that he didn't recognize or he didn't tell you, but he did perfectly. His hips were one of the last things to move. All right, as a pitcher, you got to do the same thing. You go to your balance point, you come up, you drive toward home plate, and one of the last things you're going to want to have happen is open up your hips. If you open up your hips too soon, that means your hand position goes from here down to here. When your hand position goes under the ball, I was talking about this in the pregame, you're going to get around the pitch. That pitch is going to be elevated in the zone, and it's going to be a lot easier for guys like Orestes to hit.
And not just that, but then again, going back to the hitting, what he's talking about. So if my hip opens up too soon, if I start in my hip, my knee opens up and everything opens up, now not only am I susceptible to the pitches away, I can't reach them, but I've just lost my power. I really kind of I'm not driving into the ball. I can only really hit that pitch right here, down and in, and you can hammer it, and you're like, oh, man, what a great hit. But you're only limited. So don't open up your hip too soon, and also don't cast out this way, because you're going to throw right through just like you do as a pitcher.
Absolutely. Dwayne, I think those are two pretty good points. And one more note. I definitely would have put a question mark in my score.
Question mark.
I wouldn't have left it blank. It would have been a question mark.
Oh, I would have left it blank. It would have been like a test score for me.
You know what would have happened? I would have looked at your scorecard and I wrote the same exact thing.
Cheating. It would have been cheating, basically.
Yeah. Well, you know, what we'll find out tomorrow is that scoring is a unique and sometimes personalized activity. We all tend to have a basic formula, but you know, change it to our own liking. So that'll be fun to do tomorrow, and we've had so much fun tonight. We'll have even more fun tomorrow. 14-5 here. The Rays lead this game. Longoria's line to right. Morrison behind 1-2 in the count, and he hits this one high and deep into right center field, and that baby is gone. Home run number 22 for Logan Morrison. That makes it 15-5. Morrison with a triple and a home run in this game. 3 runs batted in. And the Rays again are up by 10.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Dwayne, we've been talking about it this year, how well he is. Watch how he sits down right here. He's sitting down, athletic position. He's still, and then, boom, the hip that Dougie was talking about explodes. So I really kind of call it the 3 S's right now. It's sit, still with your body, and then swing. Sit, still, swing. Not a whole lot of action going on with him. Last year, he was a little higher. And then I didn't think he was as still, and his body was jumping out a little bit at the ball. Now he's sit. He literally tries to sit himself down. He gets to tracking the ball still, and then here comes the swing. And by the way, with that hip issue, if you see it when you see from the side, he really accentuates it. That gives you more torque, more line drives. There's one right there, and Peter Burgess doing the exact same thing, but from the right side. Outstanding. Let's take a look at Lomo one more time. You're going to see it right here where I'm talking about. He's nice. He's sitting down. He's still. Watch the hip engage. Boom, right there, and how he finishes with that hand. And then I'm telling you, that backswing, kids that you're listening or coaches, don't forget about the backswing. Right there, that part where you're almost seeing the number 7 come into view in front of the camera. When you see that swing here, and then you almost want to see the full extension. Not pulling off, but pulling on the ball. There's a big difference there, because that's where you get the torque and you get the backspin and you get that extra 10 or 20 feet on your hit. He's doing it Dwayne, I mean, at an all-star level, it's 22 home runs right now.
Yeah, when you think about that, he came in tied for second in the league in home runs, and now with that one to break that tie, 22 home runs, and what an amazing year he has had. And as a result of the approach that you just broke down, his ground ball rate is down, his fly ball rate is up, and boy is it up in a big way. 22 home runs. So Borges is at second following the double. Shane Peterson, and there's a ball that gets away, and over to third goes Borges. The Rays now have 15 runs on 11 hits. Borges moves on what's going to be ruled a pass ball, and it's a 2-1 count to Peterson. Three and one. A 15-run output tonight. Peterson lifts it down the left side, foul. I got it! And that will be caught by Machado. And Borges ducks back in at third. Two gone. Taylor Featherston will bat. He's in the place vacated by Beckham. And Beckham 0 for 3 with a walk tonight, and now Featherston comes on. Pitch is too low to Featherston. It's a strike, 1-1. In the bottom of the seventh, Rays scored 4 in the first, 1 in the second, 4 runs in the third, 5 in the fifth, and another run here in the seventh. Featherston started, checked in time. Three home runs tonight for the Rays. So they're up to 118 as a team. Featherston fouls it away. 2-2. It's Robertson on deck. And a swing and a miss. Featherston is out of there, and that retires the Rays. But they come up with another run on the home run by Logan Morrison, number 22 on the year. And the Rays have built a 15-5 lead. Tonight's Unlimited Baseball break brought to you by T-Mobile, and Francisco Rodriguez, who when the Rays were in Detroit was speaking out about not being the closer, doesn't have to worry about that anymore. He's been released by the Tigers, 4th all time on the career saves list with 437. The Tigers have lost 6 in a row, and they've fallen into the basement in the American League Central. And so their move is to let Francisco Rodriguez go. We go to the 8th in this one with the Rays leading 15-5. Jonathan Scope takes a big cut and fouls the first pitch back for a strike. Aaron O'Day doing some throwing in the bullpen. One. Tapper foul. 1-2. Archer worked the front 6. An inning in the 7th for Austin Pruitt. Now pitching in the 8th. And a swing and a miss. He came in on him and picks up the strikeout. Take a look at this one. Spinning that one up and in. Riding in on the right-handed hitter. Mancini takes a strike on the outside corner. And again, he gets the call out there. 0-2. You talk about spotting a guy up. He's done that twice here. Away from him. Down to third. The sinking fastball and got him on the ground ball. Strike out and a ground out. 2 up, 2 down here in the 8th. 18,929 the attendance here tonight.
Number 29, Wellington Castillo.
Rays and the Orioles will be at it again tomorrow. 4:10 first pitch. Wellington Castillo up here. Swing and a miss right there. Our coverage begins at 3:30. Jake Faria against Dylan Bundy. Foul out of play. 0-2. Rays trying to go 4 games over 500 for the first time this year. As many as 3 under, as many as 3 over. That's a base hit into center off an 0-2 pitch. Pitch stayed up a little more than Pruitt would have liked.
Number 25, Young-Soo Kim.
And so here's Kim, Young-Soo Kim, the left fielder. Castillo will leave the game now. Get a runner for him. Oh, Janis will run.
Entering for Castillo, number 34, Paul Young.
And here's Kim. Line drive into right. That's going to be caught by Borges. He got a nice jump on that one. No runs, a hit, and the man left. Bottom of the 8th coming. 15-5. Been a big night. Tonight's Coors Banquet timeless moment. The Rays have hit 3 home runs. Came early. Shane Peterson in the 3rd inning. Derek Norris followed in the 3rd. And then Logan Morrison connected in the 7th inning for the 22nd time this year. Season's high 15 runs. And so the Rays with a season's high 15 runs. Darren O'Day is going to be the new pitcher as Daniel Robertson takes a strike on the outside corner. Some changes. Giannis stays in the game to play short. Tejada moves over to play second base. There's Scope out of the game. Caleb Joseph is the catcher. Foul ball into the seats down the right side. 0-2. Here in the 8th, the Rays have Robertson at the plate against O'Day. Jesus Sucre will be next, and then back around to the top of the order. Lifted toward left center field. Kim over there, and he makes the catch in front of Craig Gentry. So that's the first out. Hey, let's one more time check in with Orestes and Doug, fellas.
Thanks, Dwayne. A lot of fun today talking, especially when a team is, your home team is winning 15-5. It's wonderful. And why 15-5? Because a lot of great swings today by the offense, a lot of aggressiveness, especially those 3 home runs. And what I loved about those 3 home runs, 3 different type of hitters, really, when you think about it. You got the big guy in Logan Morrison. We talked about that. You got Norris, another veteran guy who's a quick swing, kind of get the hands through. But it's really Shane Peterson, recalled back up. And Dougie and I were talking about, he has that kind of prototypical smaller body, kind of what most guys end up being. They're not all big Manny Machados and Morrison. So what he does well with his swing, really, that I love, it's just very quiet, and he doesn't really do much of a step, and he just uses a nice hands and body combination. It's a beautiful swing. So bottom line, look how nice it is right here. It's Shane Peterson. Not a big guy, Dougie, but it's just nice and compact. Yep. It's not known for big power, but he's known for being a solid ball player, trying to find a spot in the major leagues, established already in AAA, and I love what he does because he shows that the littler guys, not everybody is 6'4", can also play this game.
Well, he's maximizing his potential. You know, not everybody is 6'4", 6'5", like you said. He's not going to hit a ton of home runs, but he's going to get everything out of his body that he can get. What I want to highlight from tonight is we'll go over Archer's slider one more time because I think it's just such an important pitch for Chris. Here's a great shot of Chris Archer, and this is the type of slider. Look how tight that spin is. It's almost impossible to pick up. It looks like his 97, 98 mile-an-hour fastball, but it disappears at the last second. And we're going to check out one more. And really, again, the key to that slider is hand position. You got to stay on top. You see how those fingers are almost at the 12 o'clock position. Look at that thing disappear. It goes middle and then drops. And so really the depth of that pitch is the key to the whole thing. It's really the difference of a ball staying right here and literally staying right here. And that's why Chris Archer can be such an effective pitcher.
Dwayne's been fun. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Dwayne.
And hopefully you learned some things too.
Oh, absolutely. We've learned a lot from you. Every time I'm with you guys, I learn something. All right, way to go. Nice job. As we play here in the bottom of the 8th, Malik Smith down 0-2. And he started to go, but checked on ball 1. 1-2. 2 outs, bases empty. Smith has been on twice, a couple of bases on balls, and he has scored 2 runs. Officially 0 for 3. Came in with a 12-game hitting streak. It'll be nice to keep that going. Facing Darren O'Day. Different look here from this right-hander. Pop foul, that will carry out of play. Rays scored 4 runs in the first. And the Orioles tried to answer 2 runs in the second. The Rays are running their half the second and then broke it open with 4 in the third. Made it 9-2. Baltimore back with 2 in the 4th. The Rays a 5-run 5th tonight. Baltimore a run in the 6th. The Rays 1 in the 7th, and they bat in the 8th. It's ball 2 outside. Each team now with 11 hits. Ground ball first base. Out at first, and that retires the Rays in order here. In the 8th, we go to the 9th. 15-5 Tampa Bay.
Rays looking to close things out. Austin Pruitt's still on the mound and back inside Tropicana Field. Want to remind you, after the game, we'll have the WB Mason Rays Live postgame. We'll have a couple of bonus demos for you in this postgame show. We'll also hear from Kevin Cash and various Rays players on this big victory that should put them 4 games over 500. That's Rays Live, the postgame, brought to you by WB Mason, a demo day version coming up immediately following the game. And Dwayne, you're too nice to admit it, but I know you were enjoying the quiet solitude of that booth right now.
It's been a good night. And the topper of the Rays with a 15-run attack, 15-5 as we go to the 9th inning. Ruben Tejada leads off. Pruitt's first pitch lifted to the right side. And Borges, who just came into the game in the 7th, has gotten a lot of activity out there. And so that's the first out here in the 9th inning. Tomorrow, the middle game of this series, you don't want to miss Jake Faria. He has been very, very good. The young right-hander will go after his 4th win. Comes in 3-0 with a 137 earned run average. He pitched the middle game of this series against Baltimore. He'll be opposed by Dylan Bundy. And then Sunday it will be Jake Odorizzi against Chris Tillman in the wrap-up game of the series and the homestand. Smith takes that first pitch. Smith singled in the 7th. Tapper foul, 0-2. The Rays came in trailing the Yankees and the Red Sox in the American League East. Red Sox have beaten the Angels 9-4. Yankees are at the end of 6 at home against the Rangers. No score in that game. Two and two the count on Smith. Pruitt came on, worked the 7th and the 8th innings. And out there in the 9th. Season's high in runs for the Rays, 15. Their all-time high in a single game, 19. They've done that twice. Tap foul. 15 here tonight. The 2-2. And it's foul back. Smith, the designated hitter. He reached on the base hit in the 7th inning, and then with Machado at the plate, who will pop up in the 7th inning, Smith got tangled up with Morrison, was called out on interference. And Machado was awarded first on a fielder's choice. Line drive, and Morrison is right there to make the catch. Well, after the two got tangled up in the 7th, Smith hits a hot shot line drive, and Morrison grabs this one for the 2nd out. So 2 gone. Machado officially 0 for 4. Souza made a nice play on a ball he hit back in the 5th. A swing and a miss. A nice slider right there from Pruitt. One and one. A 15-5 ball game in the top half of the 9th. Liner into center. Smith back, and Alex makes the catch at the track to end this one. A 1-2-3 ninth, and the Rays are winners in the first game of this series, 15-5. 5-11-0, 7 left for the Rays. 5-11, 2-6 left for the Orioles. Archer the winner. Jimenez the losing pitcher. For Russian Estrada, Doug Wechter, and Rich Hollenberg, Dwayne Stats. Hope you've enjoyed the telecast. Rays Live, the post game is next.